with Ponchatoula High School Digital Humanities. We are a student-led group here at Ponchatoula High that is looking to connect with and exhibit with people of unique character with stories and ideas of our school and community.
We aim to delve into the intersection of education, history and philosophy, the arts, math, and the scientists. And we are excited to be here.
My name is Ashley and this is Nate. Is joining me for our first show here on campus. Today we are here. We are here with someone really special, and we are honored to have such committed person. That career has seen fruit and still does.
She has been teaching throughout the Ponchatoula Parish School District for 54 years, and she is a wonderful personality, and she currently does special education here at Ponchatoula High School, and is one of the foremost leaders and supporters.
It is my pleasure to welcome Ms. Glenda Dufreche.
Thank you for having me, especially on your first broadcast. I had no idea I was going to be number one.
Yes, ma'am. We have the most special one. So tell us, how are you doing today, Ms. Dufreche?
I am doing wonderful now. A little nervous since this is the first big broadcast I've ever done.
I'm sure we're going to have a great time.
We are.
Okay, so can you tell us where you come from, about your childhood, you're originally from?
I was born and raised here in Ponchatoula.
Really?
I really was. My mother was from Gonzales, Louisiana, and my dad was from Marpaw, Louisiana, and they met, married, and moved here. And
That's
so
awesome.
I was raised here in Ponchatoula, went to Ponchatoula schools, and I have a brother, two brothers and a sister who also went to Ponchatoula High School.
Wow.
We all graduated from Ponchatoula. So this is my home.
That is awesome that you're still here at your home till this day.
Yes, my husband and I left for about 6 months when he had to go to school in Washington, D.C., but we knew it was temporary, and then we came on back home.
That's awesome. So you're a teacher here, right?
Yes, I am.
So how long, you've been teaching for 54 years, but what inspired you to become a teacher? Like, how did it start?
I had an uncle who was a teacher, and he just inspired me, and then the most important people were my teachers. I had awesome teachers, and all I ever wanted to do was be a teacher. And as a little girl, I would play school all the time, but I was always the teacher, and all the other friends had to be the students.
Okay.
I've just always wanted to be a teacher.
That's great. You knew it from the beginning. Huh?
I knew it from the first day.
Well, before you started teaching, what did you do professionally?
Well, I started teaching as soon as I got out of college. I went to college. I went to Southeastern Louisiana University and to be a teacher. But during the time I was in college, like most students, I had to work. Mm-hmm. So I babysat for people. I worked at the baseball park. They had baseball tournaments on the weekends, so I would sell tickets and pick up tickets. In the summer, I taught swimming, and I was a lifeguard.
Really?
Town of Ponchatoula had a swimming pool for the public at the Aquinas Park. And so in the mornings, I would teach swimming, and then at 2 o'clock till 9 o'clock at night, I was a lifeguard.
Wow, that's awesome.
And when I was young, we picked strawberries. Now, we didn't farm, but we worked for Mr. Albert Taylor, who was a wonderful person, and my family worked for him, so we picked and packed strawberries.
That's pretty awesome. Oh, I forgot to say this, but guys, if you have any questions, please drop them for Ms. Dufreche. Please drop them in the comments. But let's get going. So, is there anything else like that you would rather be besides teaching or anything?
No. When I was in the 8th grade, we had to write a paper on what we want to do. And I remember thinking maybe airline stewardess.
Really?
Yeah. I thought traveling, but that didn't last long. I just went back to I wanted to be a teacher.
Throughout your teaching career, or even before you started, and you knew you wanted to be a teacher, did you have any goals that you set for yourself to get to?
I just wanted to be the best teacher I could be.
That's awesome.
And inspire my students to be the best they could be.
What do you think makes the best teacher?
The best teacher is someone who really, really loves young people.
You've been around kids your whole life, I see, through all the careers you have done.
I have.
That's awesome. You ever get tired, like get frustrated and stuff like that with them?
Yeah, honestly, sometimes you do. You get up and you say, do I really want to do this? But then I think about my students, and as long as I feel like I can contribute and help my students, then I'll be here.
With your you seem to have a deep connection with your students, yes?
I hope so.
Do you think there's anything that teachers should understand about students?
Every student is unique. Everyone is different.
Mm-hmm.
You can't compare one to the other. You have to look at that student as an individual, their strengths and their weaknesses, and just love them like they are.
So, what have you got any students that impacted you in the most way? Because I'm sure you have impacted many students.
Now, as a teacher, you grow with every student you have. Each student that I've had over my 54 years have given me something. I've learned something from them. I always say I learn more from them than they probably learn from me because they're all unique.
Yes.
Well, with your teaching experience, what is the thing you've liked the most about teaching?
Getting up in the morning, coming to school, and having my students walk into class. Because without students, they wouldn't need teachers.
Yes, ma'am.
That's true.
So, is there something you have done professionally that you would never want to do again?
Oh, that's a tough question. Is there anything professionally that I would not want to do again? Probably not, because I've been happy with my career.
Well, that's pretty great, because most teachers, they regret some stuff, but I'm really glad you don't have any regrets.
If I only knew, if I had not inspired a student or did right by them, then that would upset me.
I'm pretty sure you have done a lot.
I hope so.
Well, what do you think teachers should understand about students?
That every student is an individual. I can't
I said that the
compare
wrong
one
way.
to the other.
I apologize. I said that question the wrong way. What do you think students should understand about teachers?
That we're human and that we make mistakes and that we're here for you and that if we work together and respect each other, then we will have a great time.
That's pretty great because, you can accomplish a lot if students would understand that and teachers would understand some students.
We need to both understand each other.
Yes, ma'am. Has teaching become easier throughout the years or you think harder?
Harder.
Really? Why is that?
There's more demands on teachers, more in the paperwork. Teachers want to teach. I say that all the time. If I could just go in, close the door, and me and my students and I and just teach, but we have a lot of paperwork, a lot of extra work that teachers have to do when they just want to be in the classroom and teach their students. And there's so many changes.
Yeah, that's
You get
true.
used to, same thing with students. You get used to one textbook and then they change the textbook or they change the method. You learn one, say math. You learn one type of math or one way of teaching it, and then they come in and throw another.
Yes, we
That's
can
what
see
it-
that a lot.
Yeah.
And then you're right in the middle. You've been 8 years and you've been in one textbook or one method, and then they throw in another method to you that confuses the teachers, it confuses the students.
That's true.
Well, how do you keep your teaching methods concise but still engaging for your students?
Teachers are always learning. Teachers go to school basically 4 years to be a teacher. Then you go back to school to get your master's degree to learn more techniques and skills. Then you go back and get your plus 30. Then you go back and get your specialist. And you go back and you go to meetings. You go to professional meetings. You go to workshops. We go when you all sometime have a day off, but the teachers have to come back that day because we're learning new things through our professional development.
Okay.
So, what have you thought that you impacted that you love the most?
What do I love the most? Just coming to school every morning and walking in and see my students come in. They make my day.
Seeing as how you've had experience having teaching and doing a bunch of different things, how do you keep your work-life balance healthy?
Ooh, I think that's the hardest thing for teachers because we have so much that has to be done after hours. There's a lot of extracurricular. Just like you all are here, your teacher is doing this extra. He's not getting any extra pay for it. He wants to be here for you, to inspire you, to teach you something new. So it's very hard, and you got a lot of paperwork to do at night, a lot of activities. We got a basketball game tonight. We got to go support our team.
Yes, ma'am.
And teachers are going to be there. So it's hard to balance.
So you teach special education here at Ponchatoula, huh?
Yes, I do.
So what made you choose that?
Because they're the most amazing people on this earth. They're special. They
They
love you
are.
for who you are. They inspire me. They work hard.
What so I heard like you've been like you used to be like in the top head of the school, doing everything for special education and everything. You did an amazing job, let me just tell you that, because like that's something to be really proud of.
Yeah. Well, I started off as a classroom teacher, and then I became a supervisor in the central office in Tangipahoa Parish. And the students with special needs were not allowed to come to school.
Really?
They could not go to school.
Wow, I did not know that.
You did not know that, did you? They stayed home. And in the 60s, they passed a law, Public Law 94-142, that said all students, regardless of their disability, are allowed to come to school. And that's when I had a background. I had taken courses and certification in special education. And so my job was to set up special education classes for the students in the parish. And we started with our children are 3 to 21. They're allowed to come to school. So at first we set up a special school in the Talbany. It was called C.M. Fagan Center. And our preschool children, 3, 4, and 5 with special needs, and our more involved children went to school there. And then after about 8 years, we decided it was time to close the school because they needed to be in regular school with their friends and their peers. And so that was my job, to set up the program for the parish, and I did that for 32 years.
That's amazing. Like I love that how you did that.
It was an interesting journey.
It was. We're most glad to have you here today. Very honorable.
I'm glad to
and
be here and
proud.
honored.
Very quickly, we have a question from a viewer right now. Brianna Brown is asking, how do you cope with the stress throughout your teaching?
I think as you get older and mature, you learn to deal with stress at a different level. You have experience, and so experience helps you know what to deal with it. And then everything's going to, there'll be an end to something. Today may be a stressful day, but tomorrow's a new day. So nothing's going to go on forever and ever. You just go with the punches, as you kids say.
Yes, ma'am. So, is there something you like least about teaching?
The paperwork.
Oh yeah, that's a lot of
A
paperwork.
lot of paperwork. I'd much rather be with my students than doing all the paperwork.
Not even the students like the paperwork.
Not even, I like that. Not even students like paperwork.
So you've been telling us lessons that you've learned throughout your teaching. What do you think is the most important lesson that you've learned?
My students have taught me so many lessons. To be honest with them, to treat them as you want them to treat you, to be fair. And that's what students want. Just be fair with me. And to love them. And they love me. Hopefully
Yes,
they
ma'am.
love me.
That's awesome. I love how you many teachers that don't have that. You know, they don't really care about students that just want to get it over with. But you have so much potential on you, and it's really amazing. I wish I had you like a teacher.
Come in anytime. I invited
will
y'all
be
to come
there.
visit anytime. My students love visitors.
Yes, ma'am. So, is there something have you adapted to every paperwork and everything?
Have I done what, honey?
Have you you seen how the school system has changed over
Oh, yeah.
time? How do you adapt to everything, all the paperwork, all the new stuff? How do you adapt to it?
Your boss tells you what to do and you do it. just like your teacher tells you what to do, and you just adapt to it and you do it.
You got to.
You fuss a little bit, though. I'll be honest. We fuss about it, but then I go home and I do it, and then I'm ready to go the next day.
It's just like whatever the day brings, huh?
That's right. You know, when you have a job, you do your job the best you can. And to be a teacher requires a lot of paperwork. And so if I'm going to be a teacher, then I had to adapt to accept that as part of my responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
We've got another question from a viewer for you. Gia, I hope I pronounced this right. I'm sorry if I don't. Gia Tridori asks, do you like books, and do you read? And if so, what are 2 to 3 books you would recommend for people to read?
I love to read. I don't have as much time to read as I want. I really like Danielle Steele's books. More of her books I like are the ones with the history. She does a lot with history-based, and I like history.
Okay.
So...
And, of course, to recommend a book, it depends on what age I'm talking about.
That's a good point.
So, like, for us, like, high schools, what would you recommend the most?
Ooh. See, I don't know what you all like today. And there's not many books today.
Yeah.
Students, you all go on
Google,
social media
yes.
and Google and all those things that I don't know about. I like to hold a book. I don't like Kindles. I want to hold a book. I go buy my books because I like to hold that book in my hand.
Mm-hmm. I mean, honestly, I prefer physical books as well.
Do you? Good.
So, is there something like a recommendation you would do for, like, say if I want to become a teacher in the future, like, what would you recommend me to start doing or how to prepare myself for it?
I would recommend you go observe a class. If you think you want to be an English teacher, may go observe some of the English teachers, math teacher, whatever your strength area is. Go observe, see, and maybe you could shadow a teacher. And then you start your classes, because your first 2 years when you're in college, you're taking your basic classes. And then your 3rd and 4th year, you start taking your education courses in the area of where you're going to be your major. But I would shadow and go observe and see.
Okay. What changes do you think will come for the school system in the coming years?
Ooh. For Tangipahoa Parish, I think the biggest challenge we have is the growth. When I graduated from Ponchatoula High School, we only had 93 students in my senior class, and now we have 450 or more, and the schools are growing so fast that our physical plants, even here at Ponchatoula, we're overcrowded.
Yes, ma'am.
And then the biggest challenge is finding teachers. We need to recruit and get more young people that want to be teachers.
We have a 3rd question from a viewer. Ava Gabrielle asks you, if you had to choose any profession other than teaching, what would you choose and why?
Oh, Gabriella, that's a hard question because all I know is teaching. I really don't know. I don't think I'd be happy doing anything else. Maybe a tour guide, because I could use some of my teaching skills. Because I was a tour guide, I would be teaching people about wherever we were visiting. Probably a tour guide. Really like to do it in Europe. See, I got a chance to go to Europe several times, and one of my best trips was with Miss Cassie Vining here at the art teacher here at Ponchatoula. She used to always do tours, and I got to go to Italy with her. And then my husband and I went to Germany, and probably the biggest highlight was when we went to Russia.
Really?
Years ago, yeah.
So what have you learned throughout traveling throughout all them states?
Traveling, that even though the United States has a lot of problems, we still have the best country in the world, the places that I've traveled. And all I could think about when I got back and we landed in New York, I told my husband, I'm going to kiss the ground because America is the best place to live.
We can agree on that. So is there something like, I don't know how to get it out, but...
Just say it.
The best way you can say it, huh?
That's right.
It's something, so you know when you start first in like the career field, right? It's like you have a lot of difficulties. Like the kids are really bad. I don't have any patience with kids, so it's like it would be really hard for me. So if like, you know, when students run teachers away, what would you advise them to not let them do that?
When you start teaching, you have to let the students know what you expect of them. And usually students will give you what you expect of them. And if you have a rule, then it's the same rule all the time. If, like the cell phones, you have to have the cell phone in the green zone. And if you have it in the red zone, then every teacher has to take the phone out of the red zone. And then students know that's what's expected of me. So let your students know what's expected of them and then demand of them. Say, live up to what I expect you to do. Be the person that you can be.
With students, how have they changed from when you started teaching until now?
Students know more about the world. Technology has opened up a different world to you. All this TikTok and FaceTiming and you all tell me some of the other things because I'm not up on that.
All social media.
All social medias have exposed you to things that 54 years ago my students did not know about. Even when I was in school, we didn't have a TV until I was in high school.
Wow. And I think that has impacted us in a lot because it's like we grow way too fast. Because now little kids just want a phone, iPad, or computer. Like they don't want to go play outside or anything like that. So we can agree on that.
I call them couch potatoes. Yeah. And it's easy to do that. And then I see young kids getting addicted to it.
Yes.
You said it. They don't know how to go outside and play and entertain themselves. They have to have some kind of technology to entertain them.
So is there a way that you impact students? Have you had any kids?
No, unfortunately,
Really?
my husband and I could not have children.
Well,
But we raised a
you
great
got us.
niece and nephews, and as some friends told me, for not having children, I have children all the time.
Yes, ma'am. Because you have us. I mean, we're
I have
fine
you,
now.
and maybe that's why teaching has meant so much to me, because these are all my children.
Yes, ma'am. That's so sweet. Oh. So, is there anything? How do you help? Like, what do you do to help a student reach their full potential? Like, if they're struggling really bad in a subject or something.
You take and you teach it to them slowly, and you work with them over and over again. And we try different methods. If you can't do it this way, let's try it that way. Some of my children, we have to hold their hand to guide them, to show them how to form their letters. We use picture cards, flashcards, whatever technique will work for them. That's what we do.
That's pretty awesome.
You seem honestly insanely dedicated to your job and making sure the students learn. How do you maintain that dedication?
Because when my students walk in every day, they make my day. They're happy, they're excited, they're eager to learn. They want to be here. So as long as they want to be here, I want to be here with them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you make me want to cry. That's so sweet. You're like one of the best teachers ever. Not how many even have you. Just
I've
by
got
your
the
words.
best students in the world.
Mm-hmm. Oh, nice. We do have a question. I actually don't know how to pronounce this first name. I'll try. How do you pronounce it?
Case.
Okay, Case Lewis asks you, have you always taught in a high school? Have you always taught high school age children? If so, why?
No, I taught elementary. When I student taught, I taught second grade. And then when I started teaching out at Champ Cooper, I taught fourth grade. And then they moved me up to sixth grade and seventh and eighth grade because, to be honest, I was a young teacher and they needed a PE teacher.
You've been a PE teacher?
And so as an elementary teacher, I was certified to teach all grades, all subjects. So then I taught seventh and eighth grade girls PE. And then I love sports. I played sports for Ponchatoula High School.
What sports have you played?
Softball, volleyball, basketball, and track for
You've
Ponchatoula
been
High
doing
School.
everything.
I did.
Okay.
And so when I was at Champ Cooper, I went to my principal and I said, could I start a girls' basketball team? could I start a girls' softball team? So he said, well, if you want to do it, go for it. And then Tangipahoa Parish opened kindergarten. And we needed a kindergarten teacher, but we couldn't have another teacher. You only have so many teachers in the school. So I volunteered to teach kindergarten. So I taught kindergarten and then special ed. So I kind of taught a lot. So I've taught from kindergarten all the way up through high school.
What have you loved the most? Like, what grade?
You know, I really don't have a favorite because each grade I learned something from it, and each age group, the children taught me something. I just like teaching.
That's pretty awesome.
We have a viewer question, but first I've got a quick question. How do you feel about the current state of the education system? Because you've been pretty much everywhere at this point.
Education today is a challenge. I don't know how much society values education. Education starts at home. Families have to want an education for their students. And each of you can think in your own family, is education important to you? Does your parents expect you to come to school, do your work, be the best person you can be? And a lot of children today, we don't have the family structure like we had when I first started. So that's the biggest challenge, is society seeing education as important. That's my opinion.
We can agree on that, because like many parents just let their children just do what, like if they say they don't want to go to school today, well, you can stay home, you don't have anything, but you can just be home. Well, in my case, like my mom expects so much to me. Like, she expects me to be at school every day, and I think that impacts my life a lot. So it's very great. I hope many parents start doing that more, so their students can learn more. You know?
Well, and you said it. Your parents expect it of you, so therefore you're going to give it. You're going to live up to their expectations.
Yes, ma'am.
I can remember when we were in school, and we go home and fuss about teachers too.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother used to tell me, you don't have to like that teacher, but you will respect that teacher, you will do your work, and you will pass that class.
And that's the same thing my mom tells me.
And we knew if we got in trouble at school, when we got home, it'd be worse, because a teacher was always right.
Oh my God, yeah. Mm-hmm. And now it's like some students can argue down and make the teacher look bad and stuff.
Oh, and we knew better. We would never disrespect a teacher. Never. That was not allowed.
Sorry. With your teachers, both your coworkers and the ones you've been taught by, who have been some of your favorite teachers to be near?
My 4th grade teacher, Miss Inman. My 5th grade teacher, Miss Kirchberg. Mr. A.J. Botker, who used to be the principal here, was my 8th grade science teacher.
Wow.
Miss Iran was one of my English teachers here at Ponchatoula High School. I just always had good teachers. Miss Shield taught biology. Ooh, she was hard. Miss Joyce Paul, who is, I think, 92 years old. I visited her recently.
Wow.
She was an English teacher, and she was hard. But you know what we found out? When we started college, we were ready for college because they prepared us.
And that's a lot of things people don't see these days, because some teachers can be hard.
Right.
But they just want to prepare us.
I had Miss Marilyn Bankston, who taught algebra. And I have to be honest, math was my hardest subject. It was so hard. I just was not good in math. And I almost quit teaching. I almost didn't finish college because of math courses I had to take. But I would just say, okay, you want to be a teacher, you got to pass these math courses. And I'd get up and I'd go study. And after we got out of math class, we had 3 of us. We'd go to the library and help each other.
That's awesome. So you had a lot of good teachers throughout your whole career that impacted you too, huh?
Oh, yes. And the biggest impact was my uncle, who was a teacher.
So what are some challenges you have faced or are facing right now?
Challenges I'm facing now? I know because of my age that I will have to accept at some point that I will have to give up teaching, and that's going to be a challenge for me to give it up.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for your students also.
Well, my students are graduating and leaving me, though. I'm so proud. I have one of my students, Elizabeth. She is at Southeastern Louisiana University in the Lions Connected program, which is a special program for students with special needs, and she's a junior in that program.
Wow.
She has one more year and she'll graduate. And then another student, Briana, is also in that program. She is in her second year there. And then I have a student who's graduating this year, and we've applied for him to be in the program, and hopefully he'll be accepted. He's got to go through an interview and be accepted. So my students leaving me, that's a challenge too. I have 2 of them that are going to graduate this year, and it's breaking my heart.
But I'm pretty sure you have impacted them so much, because without you, they probably wouldn't reach all that. And like, it fills me with joy how much you have done for all these kids. Because I don't think no other teacher would do what you do.
I think we're partners. They've taught me, and I've taught them, hopefully.
Yes, ma'am.
We have yet another viewer question. Thank you for all the questions, actually. But Branson Stokely asks you, you said that you felt the education system is suffering due to home values. Do you think that's just here in this parish, or do you think it's all across the country?
Oh, no. I think it's worldwide, throughout the world. Society has changed. The values, the things that we valued 50 years ago are not valued today. So, no, it's not Tangipahoa Whole Parish. It's the whole United States, and I'd say even the world.
So, is there something that you would like to tell them to, like, make things better, probably encourage?
My message to students would be to learn from your teachers. They're here for you. And cooperate, work with the teachers, and strive to be the best person you can be. Because you all right here that I'm looking at, you're the future. You're the guys that are going to take care of me.
That sounds great. Well, hopefully somebody can put it to work and not just be words.
Hopefully.
Brianna Brown asks you another question, which is, what are your plans when you retire?
Ooh. To spend more time. I have wonderful nieces and nephews, great nieces and nephews, and I like to spend time with them, my family, and we'll probably travel a little bit more.
Are you planning on retiring anytime soon?
No. As long as this old body can get up in the mornings and come, and honestly, if Dr. Caminita asked me to come back, she's my boss.
I'm sure she will.
So then I hope to be able to teach a few more years.
How do you manage, like, the time with your family and the time at work? Because you're very dedicated. So how do you manage between all that?
Well, it's just my husband and I, and he learned a long time ago that this is my life. And he's a workaholic, too.
Oh,
He's retired now, but he was... he worked for the federal government for years, and then he was a local tax assessor in Tangipahoa Parish. So we kind of complemented each other. We both like to work.
That's pretty awesome. And then y'all didn't even have the same type of careers. And he had a lot of paperwork. And now you do a lot. So you can understand him more now, huh?
No, he understands me. You know why?
Why?
Because I am not good at computers, and he is excellent. And every day I have to go home and say, I can't get this to work. What do I do? How do I scan this? How do I send it to me at school? So he is my partner.
Y'all complement each other very
well.
well.
Yeah, he's my computer man. And when
awesome.
things break in my room, guess who comes and fixes them?
Husband.
My husband comes and fixes them. He's awesome.
That's pretty awesome.
Michael Beard is asking you, how can we as students improve teachers' experiences and health?
By cooperating with your teacher, asking the teacher to help you, and giving to them. Work as a team. You and the teacher. Follow the rules think about it, if everybody followed the rules, teachers followed their rules. We have rules to follow too. Students follow the rules. On the bus, we follow the rules. If everyone just worked together, and following rules is working together, then schools would be perfect.
That's probably what a lot of people need to understand, because they think they can do it all on their own. And you're right. It needs to be like as a work team. So we can all agree on that probably. Because if you work on your own, you're not going to get it.
No. You need the teachers and the teachers need you. If I didn't have students in my room, then I couldn't be a teacher, right? And if students didn't have a teacher, then you couldn't learn a lot.
That's
so we
true.
need to be a team.
So Sanaya Brown is asking you, Sanaya Brumfeild, I apologize. She's asking you, what's your favorite restaurant?
It closed.
Oh.
Trey Inn used to be my favorite restaurant. The one in Hammond. There's one in Mandeville, but it's not as good as the old Trey Inn in Hammond.
Do you have a favorite food?
I love shrimp.
Well, does it matter where they import it from or anywhere?
Oh, no. It's got to be shrimp from Louisiana. And crawfish, I do not buy that crawfish from China.
Oh, no.
No way.
You can't do
It's
that.
got to be Louisiana shrimp and crawfish. I'm a seafood person.
What is your least favorite day of the week?
Honestly, Friday.
Really? I was not expecting that.
I can understand where you're coming from. You don't get to see your students for the weekend.
You said it. They always ask me, we do a thing in our classroom, what's your favorite day of the week? And mine is Monday because my students will be back.
That's pretty awesome.
You said earlier that students should ask teachers for help. Is there anything that you'd like teachers, such as yourself, to ask students for help with?
Help me understand them. If you're having a problem or you need help, come to me and help me understand your needs. And my students will come, and we have private talks. If they have something they want to talk about, they'll come in and say, Miss Dufreche, we got to have a private talk. And so we will go outside the classroom, or we have our own little bathroom, and we'll go in the back, and then they'll tell me what's bothering them, and we'll talk about it and try to come up with a solution. So just talking, being open with each other.
That's pretty awesome. You have a great potential.
Thank you.
A while earlier, you were talking about you went on vacation and you went to travel around to Russia, Europe, places like that. What is your dream vacation?
I call it my bucket list. There's one place I want to go, and that's to Switzerland, Norway, the Scandinavian countries. When COVID came, it kind of put a stop to the travel, and I still don't feel safe getting on planes and traveling that in the closed environment yet. So that's my bucket list. I'd like to go to Switzerland.
Hopefully you can achieve that soon. So
I'm going to work on it.
you should. Don't give up.
When
on
I'm not scared to travel anymore, I'll do it.
Awesome. Hopefully this pandemic and everything will be over soon.
Hope so.
Making me think right now.
We got some guest questions. Destiny Cameron.
Okay.
Destiny's at the top, Cameron at the bottom.
Okay, we've got some questions from some members of our team for you.
Okay.
Question one is, what is your favorite song?
My favorite song. It's a religious song, Ave Maria.
Do you
So
have
you're religious too?
I'm a Catholic, yes.
That's awesome.
Do you have a favorite genre of music?
I think it depends on what age I was. Right now, I like classical music, Pavarotti. When I was a teenager, I liked Elvis Presley and rock and roll, and the Beatles was in my day. Oh, yeah, somebody back there likes them too, huh?
With the music you listen to, do you like to dance? And if so, what is your favorite type of dance?
I have to tell you the truth. All right. I love to dance. And my favorite was jitterbugging when I was in high school. These people back here understand what I'm talking about. It's fun. It's fast. It's happy dancing. Dancing's fun.
Do you still do it?
Not as much. When you get our age, there's not too many places to go that you can dance.
Yeah.
Probably at weddings. That's where you dance the most when you get our age.
Mm-hmm. Somebody should make that, have like an area where people can go and dance.
Yeah.
Because there's not many of those anymore.
Yeah, and some places, the Cajun dancing over around Lafayette area, I think there's some places over there that you could still go over and dance. And I remember at one time in Gonzales, my uncle, that was my favorite, he was the teacher, bachelor, and every Sunday he would go over to Gonzales because there was a place where they could dance.
Okay. That was awesome. I wish we had one here. Hopefully
Yeah.
we will soon.
Well, when I was growing up in high school, the JCs, which is an organization, a community organization, every Saturday they sponsored dances, and it was for teenagers. So every Saturday we could go, or to Hammond, to the recreation center in Hammond. So every Saturday night there were special dances for us, and they were free. We didn't have to pay to go in.
So we're gonna go ahead and stop. Not stop, but let me just get one more question so we don't take too much of your time. How do you maintain your dedication to your job?
I love my students. They make my day. That's all I can say.
Do you have more questions?
We do have one more question. This is another question from a member of our area, our team. Are you a cat or a dog person?
Dog.
Do you have any pets right now?
No. Our dogs, two of our last dogs passed away, and they were just Heinz 57, we call them. They were outside dogs, and they were playful dogs. Today, people have these fancy dogs.
Oh, yes.
And they cost a lot of money. Ours was just dogs that played outside. But because we do traveling, animals need to be taken care of. They need to be played with. And we just decided that we travel and go too many places that we don't have time. We really wouldn't have time to be fair to the dogs and treat them right.
What type of animals do you like?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not an animals person. Honestly, I don't really have potential for animals or anything. I'm just like myself,
You know what I tell my family members? I'll babysit with your children, but I don't babysit with your animals. You have to make other arrangements for your animals. I take care of children.
Me personally, this is going to sound a little strange, but I don't like cats or dogs, but I do like animals.
What's your favorite animal?
My dream is to own 2 pet rats.
Okay, now explain that to me.
So it sounds very strange, but rats are some of the smartest animals. They're essentially, you take a dog, you shrink it down, you make it smarter, and they love to solve puzzles, which is just amazing to me,
Oh, they get in those mazes, right?
Yeah,
I've seen it.
They get into mazes, and you can give them little puzzles, and they solve it to get a reward that you put inside, and they just adapt pretty easily. They're very social animals as well.
Wait a minute. How do you learn to not be scared of a rat?
Well, there's a difference between rats that you see on the streets, say, in the streets of New York eating pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Splinter from Ninja Turtles.
You got the smart rats.
Yeah.
You don't have the street rats.
Yeah, there's a species of domesticated rats, this is hilarious. They're called fancy rats.
Fancy rats.
That is their specific name. They're called fancy rats when they're domesticated.
When you get fancy rats, invite me over to meet them. All right?
I will.
We can agree you're very unique on that.
How many of you guys out there would go watch the fancy rats?
Oh.
Ooh, we got 3 or 4 people who would do it.
Yes.
Awesome.
I personally wouldn't, but that's just him. So we're gonna just go ahead and end it here. Well, we're very thankful to have you here today, Ms. Dufreche. You did an amazing job. You impacted us very much. Because, like, if I ever choose to become a teacher, I want to put everything you just said to work, not just have your words.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. You all are awesome. I hope the audience really realizes how much work y'all put into this. And I was really tricked. Because when they came by and asked me, could we just interview you, Miss Dufreche? Sure. No one told me I was going to be on YouTube
But
until
we
this
can't hide
afternoon.
it. We can't hide your talent. All you have done, you impact everybody, I'm sure. All teachers, principals, us.
Well, I love y'all. Y'all are awesome. These are an awesome group of young people.
Y'all heard it. We didn't
You're
tell
the
her to say
future.
that.
And you are the future. Without
Sweet.
y'all, America would not have a future. Remember that. You're going to be our leaders.
We are the future.
You are the future. We need you.
Yes, ma'am. Well,
I'd like to shoot a quick thanks to the team that we have here. We've got Joey on sound. We have Jocelyn doing the camera work and making sure everything looks amazing. We have Destiny, who helps prepare Miss Dufreche. We have a couple people in the back that I can't very much see.
we're very thankful for all of our team. I can't even think that word. But we're very thankful for all of our team members. They have done a great job. We have done all this stuff. We've been preparing for the whole semester. It's a lot of work. So we're very thankful. We're thankful for you guys for leaving your comments, for being here, and we hope to see y'all with our next interview. We're very much thankful for this year. We're very thankful for Mr. Kinchen.
About our next show.
We will be doing another show with Miss...
Miss Tammany.
Yes, we will be doing that with the principal.
And that will be February 1st, and that's going to be also at 4 o'clock, so we hope to see you guys here again. And, yeah.
Have a great day.
Same to y'all. Thank you.